Hello everyone, Weston Parker here. It is book fair week and I get to read to you Homerun. It's book 4 in the Pro U series by Allie Parker. So let's hop right in here. Chapter 1, Jace. Isn't this a treat? My 4 favorite kiddos in the world, here with us for the holidays. My father stood at the opening of the living room as the fire raged behind us. We're not really kiddos anymore, Dad. Aubrey laughed and glanced around at the rest of us before reaching out and took Lucas's hand. I couldn't help but notice the way they watched each other. The fall semester of being apart while he was building a career with the Washington Caps and she was stuck in Providence with the rest of us had to be hard, beyond hard. I glanced over at Layla, my sister's best friend, losing the conversation as my eyes moved across her. Her long, dirty blonde hair splayed out over her shoulders, and her dark blue eyes were filled with excitement. Beautiful just wouldn't do her justice. Christmas, my favorite time of year, namely because my family would gather up and we'd stop bitching and bickering for a few days. My mother wouldn't nag Aubrey about her weight until after the first of her year, and my father would take time off from teaching and his practice to invest in us once again. It was just right, good and whole. Hey, you have too much eggnog? Layla reached over and tugged at the blanket I had wrapped around my legs. Me? Nah, I don't drink that crap. I winked at my mom as she scoffed from behind the fire where she stood. I made that myself, Jace Robert Moore. She put her hand on her narrow hip and tilted her head to the side. Oh, damn, you got the full name pulled out on you. Layla put her hand over her mouth and chuckled as everyone else teased me. I could almost see her sitting there at 6 years old, 10, 14, 17, 21. How long had I loved this girl? My whole life, I whispered and got up. Needed more air than that was available. I was just teasing, baby. My mom walked and touched me on the side of my face. You're feverish. You okay? Too much eggnog. Lucas snorted and everyone laughed. Where my folks weren't too thrilled about Aubrey dating someone out of state, they were trying to deal with it. The last thing any of us wanted was for her to quit Providence University before her last semester and head out to Washington. But by the way things were looking, that's exactly what we were headed for. I wasn't too sure how I felt about that. She was my best friend, my closest companion, my sister. Losing her would happen eventually, but I prayed it wasn't now. With Lucas gone, life was a little more lonely than I expected. I needed to put more energy and effort into making friends on the baseball team or nurturing my relationships with the guys on the hockey team. I spent most of my fall rolling solo and tagging along with Aubrey. Something had to give. I'm fine. I touched my mom's hand and pulled from her hold. I'm going out to get a little bit of air. I'll come with you. Lucas jogged up beside me as we walked through the long house of my parents they had worked to build their whole lives around. He wrapped his arm around my shoulder and gave me a knowing look. What's going on? I know you well enough to know something is up. Nah, man. I love the holidays. I just got a lot on my plate right now. I shrugged and pushed the door to the back patio open. It was freezing in Maine this time of year, and a thick blanket of snow sat on the yard, covering the whole world in white as far as I could see. I breathed in deep and walked carefully towards the railing of the far end of the porch. You sure? You seem a little unsettled, more than usual. He moved up beside me, gripping the railing. Yeah, man. I glanced over at my best friend and bit my tongue. I wanted to let it spill, all of it. I'm lonely, stressed, tired. All right, well, you know I'm here. He pushed his shoulder against mine. Yep, I know. I let out a long sigh and let my eyes move across the yard slowly, pulling from the serenity around me. How's your injury doing? Do you think you'll be back on the ice this spring? Oh yeah, I'm 100% again. He ran his fingers through his dark hair and glanced up towards the sky. You need to decide between hockey and baseball, Jace. Trying to manage both of them is too much, dude. Yeah, it started to drag on me for sure. My grades slipped last semester and I fucking failed chemistry again. I have this semester left, and I'm not sure I'm going to pass it no matter what I do. Somehow the science gene skipped me by. Aubrey stole it in the womb, I guess. I forced a laugh. Layla and your sister both are great with science. Stop thinking you gotta drag this load alone, man. You know there's no way for one man to win a game alone. Get the team of the people around you who can support you and hopefully make you smarter and more prepared. I hate to bother anyone, man. I'll figure it out. He gripped my shoulder and squeezed. Or you'll do what I said and get some help, Jace. Besides, it would be a great excuse for you to hang out with Layla. You still got the hots for her, I can tell. Hell, we all can. He laughed and released me. No way, man. No one knows how I feel about her, not even my sister. I moved to the edge of the stairs and glanced over my shoulder. Is my sister moving to Washington with you after the holidays? Yeah, he didn't hesitate. She's going to talk to you about it soon, but she's worried about how everyone's going to react. I forced my selfishness deep inside of me and tried to find some semblance of happiness that Aubrey's life was moving forward. I wanted her with me, needed her to be. I get that. I crossed my arms over my chest. I figured after you got hurt last semester and she flew up there 10 times over the fall that she'd be moving soon. I'm gonna ask her to marry me, dude. Shock rolled over me, though it shouldn't have. Wow. When? In a few minutes. I spoke with your dad this morning while you were still sawing logs. He shrugged and slipped his hand into his pockets. He's not real happy about the idea of her transferring schools and missing her last semester here, but he understands. I'm not so sure how your mom's going to handle it. You only spoke to Dad? I smiled sarcastically. I'm going to go make some popcorn and get front row seats for this. My mom is going to hand you your ass. He chuckled and shrugged. And she'll hand me my ass. I love your sister with all the fire inside of me, and it just keeps getting hotter and hotter, man. Come on, dude. She's still my sister. I walked towards the door, slipping a little and riding the slide to the door. You're going out back after all this shit so I can whoop you in a little game of hockey? Oh yeah. You guys got a lake out back somewhere. Yeah. We'll have to drive out to it, but it'll be worth it. I grabbed the door and almost ran into Layla. Her fitted cream-colored sweater and tight blue jeans left her looking like sin. There you guys are, telling secrets? I want in on it. What are we doing? She pressed her hands to my chest and walked towards me, forced me back out to the patio. I wanted so badly to tell her how beautiful she was, how incredibly sexy she'd grown up to be. But knowing her, she'd punch me in the gut and laugh. She was aggressive, ballsy, and confident, like nobody's business. I'm asking Aubrey to marry me in a few minutes. Lucas's smile was so wide that it had to hurt. Really? Layla shut the door behind her and plowed into Lucas, wrapping him in a tight hug. That's great news. Yeah, it's time. He squeezed her back and set her down as she turned to me. Are you happy about it? She reached out and took my hand. Lucas winked at me from behind her and walked into the house. I don't know. I pulled her towards me, forcing her to slide across the ice. I'm happy for her. I'm worried for her. You'll miss her. It wasn't a question. So will you. I reached up and brushed her hair off her shoulders. I'm glad you came to spend some time with us this year. As if I'd miss it. She pulled her hand from mine and smiled. Let's go in and watch this go down. I nodded and moved to the open door in front of her. You think she'll say yes? She laughed and walked in. That's a joke, right? She's liked Lucas since freshman year. She's totally going to say yes. I moved into the living room behind Layla and slipped my hand onto her shoulder, softly rubbing as she glanced back towards me with warmth in her eyes. Maybe losing Aubrey wouldn't be all right if Layla and I remained in contact. I was being incredibly sensitive about all of it, but I couldn't seem to help it. My sister was my rock and I was hers. What the fuck did it mean now that she didn't need me? She had Lucas and he wouldn't be her foundation, her centering. Who would be mine? Lucas glanced around the room and moved to stand in front of the fire as Aubrey stood up to go to him. You guys know I've had a huge crush on Aubrey for 3 years now. Just last year I figured out that she might actually like me too a little bit. We all chuckled. What are you doing? Aubrey's voice softened like it used to when she was scared to walk down the dark hall after a scary movie. My heart ached in my chest and I pulled Layla back, wrapping my arm around the top of her shoulders. We didn't usually show affection outside the occasional hug, but I needed her in the moment to remind me that I wasn't losing everything. I was being a tit, plain and simple. I just wasn't sure how to stop myself. Leaving last year to play for the Caps was supposed to be the best day of my life, but it wasn't. I've missed you every minute and every day since I left. Lucas reached out and pulled my sister close to him, turning them a little so we could see them both. My mother and my father moved closer, wrapping each other in hugs as my father's eyes filled with tears. I want you with me, baby. Lucas reached into his back pocket and pulled out a little black box before moving down to his knee. My sister's soft cry left my heart melting. I wanted the best for her, no matter what it looked like. Lucas White would take care of her and give her anything she could possibly want. I couldn't have chosen a better guy to love my sister for the rest of their lives. Lucas, Aubrey choked out as she glanced over at me in narrow eyes. You knew about this and didn't tell me? Nope, I had no clue. I smiled, a genuine smile for the first time that day. He didn't. Layla reached up to grip my hands where they were clasped around her tightly. She knew I needed somebody. I was just grateful that she was okay being that person in that moment. Aubrey, marry me, baby. Let's finish up your degree and start our lives together. Be mine forever. Lucas lifted the ring to my sister and she let out another soft cry. Of course, I love you so much. She got down on her knees and wrapped him in a hug, kissing him as they fell over onto the floor near the fire. Oh shit, that's my cue to leave. I released Layla and walked towards the kitchen as everyone else hustled out behind me. My sister wasn't one for a public display of affection, but this moment was one that called for it. They didn't need an audience, though both of them were used to one. And that'll do it for Book 4 in the Pro U series, Homerun. Thank you.